Hello to all you saucy ladies and rakish lads. Get ready to rip those bodices and release those flowing locks because this is Bodice Ripping, the podcast where we rip romance novels and compare them to real life relationships. As usual, I am Allie, and these are my three lovely co hosts.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and today I'm drinking a La Croix with
Ooh.
adult water inside it. Or Russian water, as some like to call it.
Hit me.
Yeah.
I'm Gina, and I'm drinking Bell's Oberon, which is an American wheat ale.
Ooh, fancy.
Summary.
Nice.
I'm Lauren, and I'm drinking a lime margarita on the rocks.
Ooh,
Nice.
It's a big
fancy.
one.
Yeah,
I have
that's awesome.
I have a screwdriver,
Nice.
which my husband made for me, and it's rather strong.
Oh, good.
But it's fruit juice, so it's healthy. You and me were the
Mhm.
healthy ones, Allie.
Yep.
Mine's water. That's healthy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine
Crotch
has-
water.
Okay, so the book we read this month was Lauren's pick. Do you want to do the summary and whatnot?
Sure. So we read Dragon Actually by G.A. Aiken. And this book is about Annwyl the Bloody, and she has a evil brother who runs the land that they live in. And so it starts out and she's in battle with some of his knights, and she thinks she's going to die because she's pretty much got run through with a sword. And then a dragon shows up and tortures all of the knights. And she thinks the dragon's going to eat her, and she's like, I don't care, I'm dying anyway. But she wakes up in a cave with a dragon and a nice old lady, or who happens to be the dragon's sister. And they help her heal. And of course, she falls in love with the dragon, but that's weird because he's a dragon. The dragon can turn into a man, but Annwyl doesn't know that. The man helps her train to regain her strength and fight so she'll defeat her brother in battle. She can't decide if she loves the dragon or the man. She doesn't know they're the same person. And then they kind of forget about the brother for a while because they fall in love, and she's having sex a lot with this man who's training her to beat her brother. And then she goes into battle with her brother and wins. Yay, rejoicing. And after she wins, the dragon, who I guess I didn't say his name yet.
I think it's like
Fear-
Fearghus.
Fearghus?
Fearghus, yeah.
Fearghus the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Yes, Fearghus the Destroyer. So after she defeats her brother in battle, they have this bonding ritual where he claims her as his own. There's a lot of sex. And then he disappears because he doesn't want people to follow her because she's got a dragon as a lover. So then she lives like a year on her own. And then Fearghus's mom shows up at the castle and is like, hey, bitch, that's my son you left. And she's like, no, he left me. And then they live happily ever after.
Well, they went back and found each other, and now they're living happily ever after.
Okay, sure.
That's basically.
And there's a second book in this book that's called Chains and Flames, and that focuses on Fearghus's mom. But I decided to be a slacker, and I didn't read it. So I only read the Dragon Actually storyline with Annwyl and Fearghus.
Yeah, and we can just focus on that one because I think I think I'm about maybe halfway through the Chains one, but I don't know if anybody else read it.
Yeah, I finished that one.
I skimmed it because I wasn't that into it. I guess.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it pretty much just focuses on his mom and her dad and his dad and how they, I guess, got put together or
they are BDSM dragons.
They are.
Yes, they are BDSM
Funny
dragons.
because it's like that book I think has had the most consent of any of the books we've read so far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Surprising. And refreshing.
Yeah.
So refreshing. Okay, so we should talk about Dragon actually.
Yeah.
Lauren, since this is your pick, did you want to lead us off with any thoughts, opinions, comments?
Well, I tried to highlight stuff as I was going through it. One thing that I kind of had to laugh at is as the reader, you're like, oh, she loves the man and she loves the dragon, and she can't figure out which one she's going to choose, and she doesn't want to upset the dragon. She feels like, she's betraying each of them by loving the other. And then the dragon's like, I probably should have told her a long time ago. So that was kind of entertaining. One thing I really enjoyed is I feel like sometimes there's like the love-hate relationship that turns into the sex. And
Mhm.
in this one, it was almost like they were just challenging each other rather than hating on each other. Like there are a couple times when she's like taunting him or he's taunting her, and then she'll say, "Make me," and then that's when everything else. I thought that was kind of funny and relatable. Like they were just both really stubborn. I'm pretty stubborn.
Yeah. If you want to add sexual tension, have one of them say, "Make me." They're about to be like, whoa, shit's going down now.
There was one instance, and I can't for the life of me remember which one it was at, because there was a lot of sex in this book, but she says the whole make me thing, and then sexy time starts to happen. I feel like that was the one incident where the make me doesn't really work, but it happened anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember. I wish I had written down or at least highlighted where that was, because I thought it was a little off that like they were having this conversation and all of a sudden they're having sex. I'm like,
Wait a minute.
yeah.
Yeah, there was some of that in this book where they would be doing something and all of a sudden they'd be doing something else that didn't quite make sense. But I think this book was a self-published short story to begin with, published
Okay.
under a different title, which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
But it does kind of read like that, like a little, not like amateur, but kind of.
Yeah.
Like it's not as refined of a plot, I guess, as it could have been. But I mean, it's a romance novel, so we're not really looking for plot anyway.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, but props to her for self-publishing that. That's pretty cool.
Mhm. I thought that, yeah, and I thought like the pacing of it and everything was really nice. Like it wasn't like the last book where they meet and they were just thrown into having sex. Like it actually kind of built up to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. There were things I really liked about it, and there were things that I didn't. I had kind of a hard time getting through it. It was really like stop and go for me. Like there were some things where I just couldn't put it down, and then there were parts where I had trouble picking it back up again. But one of the things that I really like that you don't see a whole lot is, so she's like falling in love with this dragon, and the dragon is living with his sister who is always in her human form, except she doesn't know that she's a sister or she's a dragon. And there's like no like jealousy or anything. Like they just become friends and they're like talking to each other about all kinds of stuff, and like there was not one moment of her just being like anxious that this dragon that she loves is like living with another woman.
Right.
Mhm.
I like that
Because,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, romance novels need more female friendly relationships where they're not at each other's throats.
Yeah.
I think that was nice.
I had a couple of quotes that I liked.
Mhm.
One of them was, "What kind of queen would she be if she couldn't keep the local riffraff from her pussy?"
Put that on my tombstone, please. I don't even remember reading that line, but that's
No, I
pretty
don't
good.
either.
Some of the sex scenes were just really awkward to read. I think, like, some of them were okay, but like there were some parts that just like really took you out of it, and this one is an example. It says, "He moved toward her, his cock leading the way. She no longer looked at him, but at it."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember reading that. I just kind of like imagine him like it's just shoulder back, just like going cock
Sauntering.
first.
There's like music too, like.
I'm Fearghus and meet my destroyer. Ooh.
There we go.
Oh, well, and I have to write that down for a possible episode title.
Okay.
My Destroyer.
But it was just hilarious.
Yeah, no, I remember that one made me laugh too. One that I had written down was, he's doing something that she finds sexy, which was, everything.
Everything.
It was just the walls of her womb clenched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, she wants a baby? That's what I read it as. I read it as like, she's wanting a baby, not like she's getting turned on.
Just read it as her being aroused, I guess, but like that doesn't seem arousing or pleasant to me because usually when your womb clenches, yeah, that means you're having like period cramps.
Like, it's like a cramp. Those are painful.
Yeah, no, I don't want that.
I was talking to my D&D group about this book, and they thought it was hilarious, just the whole idea of everything.
Yes.
And they brought up this great point where what happens if he turns into a dragon while they're in the middle of something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. If they were ever gonna hook up with her being human and him being a dragon.
Or like,
I don't know if it's gonna turn into this kind of book.
So they did kind of a couple times mention that there's like a spell or something that they have to chant in order to change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the sister Morphid, I think she did that a few times in the book.
Yeah, I don't think she mentions the chanting part more than once,
I must admit that.
I guess.
I was just
Yeah,
like,
it's only brought up a couple times.
if he just like thinks too hard about being a dragon, is he just gonna like rip her in half or something? I don't.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then they started talking about like, what if it was a girl dragon? And it's like, whoops, fell in.
Just a drop in the bucket.
Oh no.
But yeah, there was one part where I was concerned that we were going to get some graphic bestiality. I don't know if it's bestiality if they're dragons because they're not real, but close enough.
She calls him a beast a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
A
it's like,
monster, a creature.
I might be thinking of the other book, so I am. Never mind. In the other book, they're both dragons, and there was a part where they were like hooking up as dragons, and I'm like, oh god, I'm not ready for this. It kind of like faded to black, and I'm like, okay,
Oh.
don't know why that had to be there, but I'll allow it.
Yeah, thanks for not making me examine how I feel about that emotionally.
One of the quotes that I really liked in the book, and it's in the second chapter, and Fearghus is confused on why she didn't like freak out when she saw the dragon. And he says, "The dragon fear affects young and old, dying and strong. You should have run for your life or dropped to your knees begging for mercy." And she says, "I dropped to my knees for no man." And that just really struck me as like a sex joke. And I don't know, it made him laugh. But I was right away in chapter 2. She's like, "I dropped to my knees for no man," and you could just tell. And then there's all the awkwardness I guess I kind of forgot about this, of him. She's a virgin when they meet, and then like she wakes up and he makes some comment about her being a virgin. She's like, "How do you know? Why are you looking at that? I was asleep," like. And he's like, "Oh, I can smell it." Just kidding, I can't.
Tricked you, ha.
Well, it was weird because it was really kind of exploring that, like, those two different parts of attraction. Like, she was sexually attracted to the dragon, but like when he was a man, she had no interest in him romantically. So it's like, she's like, "Oh, I've got this great, like, loving relationship with the dragon, but this guy is just like, hot damn, like, I don't know what to do." Like, guess what, lady, you're in luck.
Guess what? Yeah. Yeah, I did find of interesting. Like, the dragon was more the friendship side of being in love, I guess, and then the dude was the lusty side. It was an interesting take on it. You shouldn't have waited to tell her, though, because that opened up a whole bunch of shit.
Big
Well,
old
and it's really
Yeah.
manipulative. She got naked in front of him a few times as a dragon, thinking it didn't matter, and he's there in his dragon form, like getting a dragon boner, and little awkward.
Yeah, she got naked a lot in this
finding
book.
out from his dad.
Yeah.
After she tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Because he tried to kill her. That meeting the parents did not go well.
No, it didn't.
His two brothers were there too, I think, during that.
Yep.
And everyone's naked.
Everyone's naked all the time.
They're dragons, they don't care, is the explanation given.
Yeah.
I guess is fair. But it's just kind of funny because people are just like walking around naked and she's just like, okay then.
Yeah, well, she was naked like half the book, I feel like.
Yeah.
Just didn't care. I'm like, I like that about you. Just letting it all hang out.
So here's something I had a big problem with. It's really petty.
Okay.
So he's got this underground lake, like inside of his lair. And like there was one point, I should have highlighted it, but I didn't. But they talk about this underground lake, and then they talk about somebody out of the lake and retreating into the bushes. And I'm just like, I'm so confused.
They're
Are there bushes underground? I guess there could be, but that's not like. It just took me so far out of what I imagined this area to look like, which is like, a cave lake with greenery. And then I'm just like, oh wait, is it actually like outside? I could have sworn it was, in his lair. And then I go back and it's like, no, it is, but there's bushes. I don't know. It bothered me. It feels like she like wrote it as a normal lake and then changed her mind and she's like, I'm going to put it inside so it's more private, but then she forgot to take that stuff out.
That could very well happen.
Yeah, like she just didn't describe it enough.
Yeah, you could tell it wasn't polished.
But like I said, it's really petty. Like it didn't ruin the book for me. I was just annoyed that my vision was wrong or not, and now I'm just confused.
Yeah. The one thing that actually really bothered me about it is when Fearghus goes to find her to apologize after she finds out that he's dragging everything, and he like corners her in her tent.
Dragon, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he like starts using sex as a way to force her to forgive him.
Yeah.
That was the one sex scene I kind of had an issue with. It wasn't reading well, I guess. I think I kind of know what her intent was. But it didn't read just that way.
To me, it came off as him like trying to get her in this place of like, oh, she's turned on, he's so great, and like she wants all this stuff, and he's like, well, I won't give it to you unless you say you forgive me.
Yeah.
And
it's just manipulative a little bit.
Yeah, so that was not okay. That was
Yeah, the consent was lacking in this one too. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think she once until like at least halfway through like agreed to anything. And it's like it's from her perspective, so you're in her head, so it's like you know that she secretly wants it, but she's like denying it to herself even, and she's definitely not saying it out loud. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's one of those romance novel things that kind of gets a pass because it's a romance novel thing, but I just wish it wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it seems to be like a genre thing, and it's really hard to get past, I guess, when you're not used to reading that all the time.
Well, and like in that scene where he's trying to get her to forgive him, she even says like her head is being logical, but her body is betraying her. Her body
Yeah.
wants him. It's like, okay, well,
That-
yeah, you
yeah.
can sexually want someone and still not actually,
Yeah.
want to want them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you definitely want those two things to mesh at all
Yeah.
times when you're. Because, yeah, bodies are weird, and sometimes they do weird things, but your brain isn't always going to want to do the same thing, so. Best to just agree on those two at all times. if you can.
Yep.
Well, and the really weird line is then it says, like, during the scene, he says, already so wet and ready for him, her body offered absolutely no resistance. Like, okay, is that your way of knowing that she's okay with this? She's saying, like, no left and right because that's, like, their dynamic. But, oh, if she's wet, that means she's into it.
Yeah. And that's like
It's just weird.
that's an argument that people make like against rape victims too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh well, you came, so obviously you wanted it. No,
Yeah.
that's
No.
not true at all.
And to be fair, like a couple lines later, she says, "Don't you dare stop." Like you can. There are symbols that she's into it, but
Like, how was he
like,
supposed to know that before he started?
Yeah.
yeah.
He didn't,
Yeah.
except he thought he did, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's so weird to me. I'm gonna go back to the second book again. I'm sorry, I
No, go for it.
haven't read it, but like it's so weird to me that this is the same author because like in the second book there was just so much like hang on. You guys talk about something, I'm gonna find this one part.
Okay.
Well, I think I get what you're going for, but like in the second book, before any like sexy times even really happen with them, they immediately establish basically a safe word.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm looking for because it was so like explicit. And
It was just
It's
like
like-
right away, right at the beginning.
Yeah.
His I don't remember what his dad's name was.
It started with a B and it was really weird and long.
Yeah,
ooh,
it's like
dragon.
Fearghus or something. I don't know.
Bear Slack.
Bear Slack. Okay,
Yeah.
I think.
but he basically right away says, if you tell me the word no, I will immediately stop whatever I'm doing.
Go for it. Jeez, you're giving it all away. Never mind.
No, it's fine. I do remember reading that part.
But yeah, it's just like right away it's established, and that was really nice. But then in the first book, there's none of that.
Yeah. And they keep going like through that entire book. Like every time it's getting a little bit intense and she's saying like stop, don't, he'll like remind her and be like that's not the word.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like checking in on her too, and it was just like I can't believe the same person wrote both of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the first one, they were definitely both getting off on their stubbornness, and they would kind of like argue as they're doing it.
Yeah.
So, like, there was never a, oh, can I kiss you? Oh, is this okay? Are you into this? Just wasn't there very often because they were too busy arguing with each other
Yeah.
while they boned.
Yeah. I suppose that was their kind of dynamic and that was their thing, so yeah, in the context of the story, I guess whatever, it was fine, but
Yeah, it just feels like one conversation. Like it doesn't need to be, every single encounter, but
Yeah.
it's like they said something like right at the beginning, everything would be like 100 times better.
Hmm.
But it never happened.
Yeah.
I know, I get too hung up on this stuff for romance novels, but it does bother me because, people get ideas.
Yeah, when people read it and they take that as, oh, this must mean it's how it's supposed to be if you're really in love and all this stuff. It's like, no.
Yeah. And I mean, this is also kind of the stuff that, like, we're supposed to be talking about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you guys. Like, just because you were constantly arguing and, like, butting heads and being stubborn with a person, that does not equal passion.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Thank you. Amen.
being argumentative and challenging each other all the time, that's not passion. That's just you're both stubborn assholes.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, they can go hand in hand, but one does not beget the other.
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole like, oh, they hate each other, but now this has made them fall in love. Like, that's complete nonsense too. Like, I know that is a very, just from the books we've seen, that is a very consistent and common trope with these novels. Like, I think every single one has been, oh, they hate each other and now they love each other, except for I think it was Gina pointed it out earlier that they didn't really in this one, they just kind of bickered.
Yeah.
Rachel said that.
Oh, Rachel said that. Okay. I don't remember who said it.
I don't even remember saying it, so.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard, like, when the whole point of the book is to write about romance, you need to have some conflict.
Yeah.
You need to have some resolution.
Tension, yeah.
And they aren't typically that plot heavy. So then you need to have the conflict be in the relationship itself, and then they get their happily ever after. That's got to be
I get it. Like, I get why they do it, but
it's frustrating.
yeah.
There's like one thing that was never really explained was why he acted completely differently and like as a dragon and in his human form. And it's like it seems like he's like trying to kind of tease her and see what she does. But it's just like it's literally like two completely different people. Like it's not on her that she didn't figure it out. Because like as a dragon he was just really like sweet and caring and playful, and as a human he was just a dick.
Yeah, I loved like the way that they interacted with each other as like when he was a dragon.
Oh my god.
As opposed to when he was a human.
Yeah, they did a lot of like she did a lot of like goofy fun shit. Like she'd run up and down his back and like peek over his head and be like, "Hi," and he would get startled. And I was like, "Oh, that's so cute."
Or like he would like pick her up when she's hanging onto his tail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I wrote that down. Like I would read a whole book about them just being like goofy and fun with each other. Like that's what I want in my romance novel.
Like that was so cute and like refreshing. And then there's like the human version, which is just kind of
tropey, like stereotypical manly man.
It's just strange to me that it never made it clear like what his motivation was for acting like that. It's just like maybe the relationship just started out with that and then he ran with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was very like it felt very out of character for him because like everyone else who knows him talks about how he's just this aloof, like brutal, horrible thing with no feelings, but he wasn't like that either.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it was something that maybe like the author was trying to play off as, oh, he's just so comfortable around here. He can finally act like this and not be so like off by his lonesome, like you said, aloof or whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't mean as like I mean his human self.
Right.
Like, as a dragon, you can see how he'd have those two sides, but then he's got like this human form that is neither of them.
Oh yeah, okay, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
And it's hard too because her experience with men has been really bad. Like her father used to beat her. Her brother is clearly a jerk because
He's trying to take
a
her
lot
head.
of reasons. Yeah, he's trying to kill her actively. And like she said, pretty much every man she's ever been around, she's had to fight and prove herself and deal with their bullshit and hitting on her and whatever. So she definitely has a negative feeling towards men in general, but you get to see both of their points of view for how the book is written, and it doesn't feel like it's just her hating men. That's why they have this conflict. Like he's definitely acting like a jerk a lot of the time. He's super rude to her. He's always challenging her, and I guess he does say that she gets too emotional when she fights, and so he's trying to egg her on so that
Yeah, he's trying to bring out that anger.
To get her to control it. I think.
But he does it 24/7 as a human, and
yeah,
it wouldn't be needed.
Mm-mm.
No. So yeah, what did we think about the characters themselves? What do you guys think about our leading lady this time? Who had green eyes again, by the way? I think that's 3 out of 4.
Yeah. I actually kind of liked her.
I loved her.
Like a little bit. I liked that she didn't have she had this like I'm this like not girly girl, but they never once commented on the fact that she wasn't really like girly or that she didn't act like girly or anything. She was this warrior and that's what she was. And I really like that as compared to like when we read Some Like It Scott, where like she's supposed to be this kind of butch woman that is just the entire story revolves around like, oh, but she could be feminine. So it was a nice story that was, she's not feminine, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's what I think I liked about her, was she was very unapologetic about what she was, which was kind of this sassy, sarcastic, angry, kind of weird goofball woman. And I really enjoyed that. Like, she still had a nice arc with her learning to control her anger so she could beat her brother, but she never like once kind of changed who she was, and I liked that.
I liked it when she met his mom and everyone's just like, we don't know what's gonna happen. You might die. It's like, okay, I guess if I die, I die. Like, she goes in there, this is like the queen of the dragons, and she's just like sasses at her like constantly. And it's just like, everyone's like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And then like, Dragon Queen is just like, actually, you're great.
I like you. You can be with my son.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
In the second book, you learn more about her, and it feels like you could really see like why she has that, like why she thinks that, because it's like you're reading through that second one, and it's like, yeah, she would totally respect Annwyl, like, and she does. And I just thought that was really cool that she's just, there's like not just her, but like then there's this other female character that's just like, you're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the fact that this leading lady had like a really good positive female friendship was also kind of a point we touched on too with Morphid. Morphid, I guess is how you pronounce her name. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if it would have been written differently if that character hadn't been his sister.
That's a good point.
Yeah, maybe.
It was still like a nice thing. Like, Annwyl, her character didn't know it was his sister until later on, so that was still kind of nice that it wasn't like, played up until one of them went, "Oh, I'm his sister" or whatever. But yeah, I wonder how it would have been written if they had a different type of relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
It could have gone so far the other way, though. There's kind of that trope that exists of like someone being jealous of, the sister or the cousin or, and And it's just like it could have gone so far that way with her just being pointlessly jealous, and then, oh, haha, she was his sister the whole time, don't you feel silly? But it didn't even go anywhere near that.
Oh.
And it's like she was just like wingmanning so hard, like all the time. It was great.
Yeah, the sister
Yeah.
kept trying to get each of them to tell the other the truth.
Yeah.
But she
Oh,
kept trying to
that's so
get her
hard.
brother to tell Annwyl that he was both the man and the dragon. She was like, Annwyl, if you want to fuck him, go ahead.
Just do it.
No
That
hesitation.
dick.
Annwyl would keep coming to the sister and being like, I feel so guilty. And the sister's like, seriously, like, don't worry about it.
It'll be fine. Just trust me.
She loves you both. Both ways.
My favorite quote was when she's telling her, like, if you want to fuck the night, just go fuck the night. And then Annwyl's just like, but what about the dragon? And the sister just goes, don't worry about the dragon.
He'll be fine. He wants you to fuck the night. He wants you to
Wants it.
What did you guys think of claiming as a concept?
This is the second book that's had that.
Yeah, the
So-
demon book had that too.
I would be more upset with it if it was like a human thing, but it's always been like mythical creature human thing.
Yep.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, there's probably a better word for it, but like the dragons claimed each other. Like that's just the thing that happened. Like even in the second book, even in the
Male
second
dragon
book,
claims the female always. I
yeah.
guess. I mean, in the second book, spoilers.
Mhm.
If someone wants me to stop, I'll stop.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So at the end of the second book, they claim each other, and everyone is just like scandalized by this.
Yeah.
They talk about how like sometimes the woman will like claim the man back, but like years later after it's already established that he's the one who's in charge.
Yeah.
But like in this one, they both like claimed each other, and everyone's just like, "Why would you let her do that to you?" It's like, shut up.
Because they're equals, damn it.
Yeah, and I think in the second one they also mentioned something about how she could have like a forced claiming like
Yeah.
dismissed or something like that.
Well, yeah, it would like start a war. If,
Yeah.
like marriage raped, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. Because that's what it is. Like if you get claimed, it means you're together forever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's messed up, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I thought too hard about it because I'm just like, oh, another one of these again, and just kind of
Yeah.
kept on going.
Yeah.
But it's like in the other book we had with this, like she had to finish it.
That's true.
That's true.
Like, she
Yeah.
had
This
to-
one
It's
just-
like a week to be like, yeah, I want this. But in this one, it just happens to her.
yeah. And it's extremely painful and she's the only one who gets branded. Where if I
Yeah.
remember right, in the other book, he gets a mark as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem painful at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
think
she did really like the branding. Like
Yeah, she did.
after
Yeah.
she's been marked, she's got like a dragon on each arm, and she wears sleeveless shirts, so
Yeah.
everyone can see that she's branded, that she's the dragon queen or whatever.
Yeah.
I just got annoyed because I'm like, we already got stuck with childbirth. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, what's it like to birth a half
Oh,
human,
yeah.
half dragon crossover? How
I
does
did not-
that work?
I did not think about that, but R.I.P. her vagina maybe in the future.
Would they
Right,
even be able to?
Yeah, would she?
Because that's not
I mean,
not something that was ever really touched on. Is they never really say that, like, because so the sister had been giving her wine that had basically birth control in it, right?
yeah.
But then when she starts talking about actually having sex with this knight and her sister knows it's a dragon, it's never mentioned again.
Yeah.
It's only when she was talking about potentially having sex with another human. So could they even procreate? Like, could there be a dragon baby?
They
It's
might be able
interesting
to.
because, like, she's the queen of, like, this human area, and he's, like, next in line for this dragon throne. It's like, you'd think this is something that would cross their minds in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's a possibility and maybe it just wasn't relevant, I guess.
That seems pretty
It
relevant
seems like
to
it
me.
should be relevant, I guess, or maybe she thought it was implied, which it really wasn't. So I don't know.
Like I'm really curious about this now. Like, could there be a half dragon?
I've
Dragonborn.
yeah, Dragonborn are
That is a race,
Yeah.
Fucking-
as I've learned.
Well, yeah, in D&D you can be descended from a dragon, but also kind of humanoid.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it might be a thing. Maybe it's like a mule or something. Like the half dragon wouldn't be able to mate with anyone else because they'd be like weirdly sterile or something. I don't know.
Or maybe it's born as a human and then it gets like magical powers, and once it gets old enough it can transform into a dragon.
Yeah.
I don't know, you could do
Or
something
maybe
like
it's just,
Twilight,
they're,
you know.
they're like just just a really tall, like buff human with like scale, like maybe like just dragon features.
Yeah, maybe they mishmash and it has like horns and some fancy
Scales.
scales, maybe a tail or some claws and fangs, and you're like, well, it's mostly a person, I guess. I don't know. Who knows?
I always got confused, speaking of claws. They would refer to, like, the whole, like, dragon hand apparatus as a claw. And it's like, I'm thinking about it, and it's like, no, that's the word for it. But it just sounds so weird to me.
Yeah.
It does.
Claw, I'm
The way
Oh boy.
Exactly like that.
the way I always read it was that like he's just so huge he can only, like, when he's interacting with her he only uses one claw at a time. Maybe?
I meant the whole hand. Like,
Huh.
there were times when it's just like
He picks
picks-
stuff up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he picked it up with his claw, or like, and she like stabbed his dad through the claw.
Maybe they mean
When they
paw,
were one, it was a talon.
but that's
They
fierce.
said talon when it was one. So like,
Oh.
Okay.
I just
I guess I always just read it as like he just had one, like, actual, like, instead of one finger, one claw that he just
Yeah.
interacted with her with.
no, it was the whole dragon hand apparatus as a claw. And I'm
Oh, that's weird.
about it, and I'm like, no, that is it. Like, if you talk about birds, it's like not. I guess you call
Yep.
them feet, but
Yeah.
Talons, maybe.
I mean, like in Toy Story, it's the claw. The claw chooses who will go and who will stay.
Yeah. That's the fun thing about writing fantasy is when you start to
You guys make shit up.
make these characters, you're like, oh fuck, what would even happen in this situation? I don't know. Make shit up, it's fine.
I found it rather funny that their world had 2 suns.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
interesting.
hmm And it's like it's only mentioned like once, but the first time I read it, I was just like, oh, it's like Star Wars.
I know, I had the like
Yeah.
that song that plays when Luke's looking out at the 2
Yeah.
suns. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Like that happened in my head as I was reading the oh, neat. Soundtrack, thanks.
I just thought it was funny because it's just like it's Earth, but with dragons and 2 suns.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. After that,
I
I
think
was
it
like,
just-
oh.
She just like needed a way to be like, not Earth, you guys, not
Yeah.
Earth.
Yeah, if
Mhm.
you're gonna do crazy shit like 2 suns, like make your world just fucking bizarre. Just make some really weird shit happen. Also, wouldn't everybody be like hella tan if there were 2 suns?
Maybe one cancels the other one out.
Maybe.
Could be.
Different kinds of radiation. I
Yeah.
don't know how suns work.
Would there be any
It's just
trees
cancer
at
for
all? Would,
everyone.
yeah, would everything be on fire like all the time?
Oh yeah, because of the dragons too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really, it's just a hell dimension.
That's why everyone's so fucked up and angry.
Yeah. They're just hot all the time. In more ways than one.
Oh, was I the only one who was kind of hoping that something would happen between what was her name? Morphid?
Morphid
sister and Baristas?
Morphid and what's his face?
Baristas, I think it was. The like second command to Annwyl.
Oh yeah.
They definitely want a bone, and I was wondering if maybe they were a pairing in one of the later books, because I think there's 2
Oh,
more.
that could be.
There's 2 more, and they have goofy titles. It's like Dragon Actually, and then the next one is like About a Dragon, I think.
Yeah.
Let's just take romance movies and turn
Put
them into
dragon.
yes.
Dragon on the title somewhere.
Change the name of a
Not at
movie
all
to
like
add the word dragon. That's the book title.
Love Actually and Dragon Actually have 2 very different plot lines.
Yeah, the plot lines are nothing like alike. So.
Yeah, there wasn't even a Christmas scene. There's
Yeah.
no airport.
There's no Christmas concert.
No signs.
Oh yeah, the signs in the front.
Oh, that was so cute.
No dancing politician.
Oh yeah.
Now I want to watch that movie again. Damn it.
Yeah.
Is it on Netflix?
I think so.
It might
It was.
be.
It was
Was
around
at
Christmas, but I
Christmas.
think they take all the Christmas movies down.
Hmm.
They'll probably put it back up.
It
soon,
was.
though.
Mhm.
It's almost September. That's when the Halloween and Christmas stuff starts like simultaneously.
I got a message from Paul's cousin that some store she was at already had Christmas stuff up. Like, it's not even Halloween.
What?
Yeah,
Halloween's
Pier
supposed
1
to be
has
the
it up.
line.
August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
God
Back
damn it.
to school, not Christmas.
get out of the harvest season.
Yeah.
Wait for my pumpkins. No trees till the pumpkins are gone.
hmm
Yep. Oh, what else was there? This was actually a rather short book. I was kind of surprised. I think it was maybe because it was supposed to be like
There's-
2 in 1.
Yeah, both of them together were like the length of.
Or like
The
a
other ones
regular
we've read.
sized.
Yeah.
I was just really concerned while I was reading it because, like, on my Kindle it tells you like the percentage through you are,
Yeah.
and it's like 47%, and I'm just like, okay, so now they're dragon married. She won the war. What is the rest of this book?
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh God,
Yeah.
what happens?
It's like, how many pages do I have left? It seems like it's done now.
And then it's like, oh, a second book, and I'm like, everything makes sense now.
Mhm.
hmm
Yeah. Again, I think it started as a short story, so you can kind of tell like it was meant to be very short, and she kind of went crap and kind of like extended a bit, but it still wasn't quite like it was more like a novella size. It wasn't really a full length novel size.
Yeah.
But the pacing was good throughout the whole thing, so that was nice.
Yeah, I like the pacing a lot. I thought that was nice. I was a little worried about that at the beginning because some of the writing kind of like would pull me out of it. Like at the very beginning at least, I think it kind of got better throughout the book.
Mhm.
A character would be talking and it would be all like very short sentences. It'd be like, and this, and then this, and then this, and then this.
And it's like double space between each one, and it's like,
Yeah, the
Oh,
paragraph spacing kind of threw me off on it too.
seconds to read.
But another trope that this book deals with a lot that kind of caught my attention was the whole with like the leading male. It's like, oh, no woman has ever caught his attention like this before. His fascination with her is so confusing, blah, blah, blah. Like, that would kind of concern me if a dude just said, like, I don't know why I'm so attracted to you. No woman has ever had this effect on me before. I'm like, can go over here.
Yeah, red flag. Red flag.
Run away.
Like, at that point, I would just kind of, like, question, like, are you maybe gay?
Could be. Maybe you need to try a dude. Maybe. Yeah, but I guess that seems to be a popular thing, is the not like other girls thing.
Yeah.
Which bugs me a lot, because what the fuck is wrong with other girls? Nothing.
No girl is like other girls. There is no, like, this one umbrella that every woman falls under.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
And then the whole, I feel like that then kind of also fuels the, well, I could be that one woman that changes him.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No.
Yeah, she was never actively trying to change him, but you could tell
Yeah.
he had noticed changes in himself after spending time with her.
Mhm.
So that was
I feel
a
like
nice balance.
they both like kind of just being around each other, their personalities kind of like changed. They had character development. That's really what it was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's all you can ask for.
Mhm.
I love the part where she's just like, oh shit, I love the dragon.
Yeah.
What do I know about this?
Yeah. How?
She's like, I'm the only one weird enough to fall in love with a dragon. Ugh.
I did find that part funny. There was a lot of both intentional and unintentional humor in this book.
Mhm.
And I like that. I laughed out loud during a lot of the parts. Some parts I'm sure was not intended to be super, super funny. It just came off that way, but those two had a good they had a good humor. There were some
Mhm.
moments that were good.
Mhm.
Well, and like when Annwyl met the mother dragon, the mom's like, "Oh, are you dinner?" And she's like, "No, let's never say that again. Not here to be eaten."
Yeah, no thank you. I'm
Let's
actually
pass.
boning your son.
Hard pass on the getting eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some fun lines.
Yeah.
I wish I'd remembered to highlight more other than the womb one.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see.
Yeah, what do I have written down? I think I highlighted some stuff. What was it? But yeah, Fearghus as a I wrote down Fearghus as a dragon. Big fucking walnut. Pining loser. I still loved him. But yeah, I liked him very much as a dragon. As a dude, he was kind of meh. But
Yeah.
also, that was our fourth guy in a row with long dark hair.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
I
I
had
thought
like
it was
super long hair that I
Yeah, holy fuck, they all had super long hair.
they're just like, oh yeah, it goes like down to their knees, and I'm just like mid back, okay. Like it says that, and then in my head it's just like, and you're getting a haircut because I can't spend that much effort imagining that much hair just going there.
You run out of RAM to like render that much hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had been imagining them all with hair down to like their mid back. And then there's one scene where they're describing, I think one of the brothers, like, oh, he was a battle dragon, so his hair was cut shorter to about his mid back. I'm like, wait, that's shorter?
What?
And she had really long hair too, and it's like, what are these people? It says they're warriors.
Yeah.
Get a haircut!
Yeah, that's not practical to go into battle with hair that's down to your knees. That's also not tied back, because I don't think they said that it was tied back at any point. Or maybe they
Now
did.
I'm
I
just
don't know.
curious, like, how long was it on them when they were in their dragon form? Because it mentioned that even when they're a dragon, they still
They
have this long hair.
Yeah,
Like a,
Which
like
was
a
very
mane, like a
hard
horse's
for me
mane.
to imagine as well.
It flopped over his eyes, like emo style, and he was both a dragon and a human. Like that was her thing when she saw the hair flop. She was like, "Uh-oh, I know now," and I'm.
You son of a bitch.
I liked some of their witty banter too. Like she is talking to Fearghus about the man, who's also Fearghus, but she doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And Fearghus says, "I don't know why he makes you so nervous, and I don't. I can turn you into a fireball." And she thinks, "So can he." And then she's like, "Well, you're sweet and charming." And he's like, "They call me Fearghus the Destroyer." She's like, "They call me Annwyl the Bloody. I'm not impressed." Like, we both have murdered a lot of people. That's not important here.
It's fine.
Just because we bathe in the blood of our enemies. Metaphorically.
I chop off heads for a living, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love that story about how she got the name though. Like when
Yeah.
I read it, I'm just like, really? But it grew on me.
Yeah.
Because talks about how she's like going off to her arranged marriage in a wedding dress, and then like their caravan gets ambushed by, I don't know, remember if they're rescuers or like robbers or something.
I
But
think it was just the
They were
rebels.
like
It's the
rebels.
resistance, yeah.
so like they get ambushed and like they kill everybody, and her wedding dress is just like covered in blood. And so they start calling her Annwyl the Bloody, and she hates it for some reason, because I'm just like, heck yes I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, here's another part, like the part you were talking about when she goes to meet the dragon mother and she's like, are you my dinner? She's like, no, I'm Annwyl the Bloody. And she's like, you're Annwyl the Bloody? And she's like, yes. You're awfully tiny to be Annwyl the Bloody. I'm taller than most men. And she's like, that simply does not impress me. It's like, I stand one queen. Yeah. I actually liked all the lady characters in this book. I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like romance novels. It's like, oh, was this written by a man when it like focuses too much on the way her boobs feel in her shirt?
Yeah.
And this, I didn't get that kind of thing. Like you could tell it was.
They didn't really have any of that. Like, if there was any, like, talking about, like, her boobs or body or anything, it was always from, like, the guy's point of view. But
Mhm.
when it was her, like, very rarely was when it was from her point of view did they talk about, like, the clothes she was wearing, how it felt on her body, like,
Yeah.
all this other, like, stuff that is typical with the female characters.
Yeah.
There was one part that was just like annoyingly obvious that made me roll my eyes, which is when they're talking about her brother and how he like brands all the witches, but he's fine with warlocks, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Fucking
Patriarchy!
Yeah. I think it mentioned that he does not like women just in general
yeah,
somewhere in the book. And it's like, well, that was obvious.
yeah.
But thanks for spelling it out, I guess. And then his most trusted advisor or whatever is like dude who's manipulating him and is actually a dragon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dragon, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
What was his name?
You keep having these opportunities, Allie.
Yeah.
Well, and it was a really nice, like, duplicity to see how the brother reacted, which is he almost puked and passed out and was super freaked out when he found out that his advisor was a dragon, versus when Annwyl's like, oh, look, there's a dragon. Meh.
Whatever.
Anyway.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
If I die, I die.
Yeah.
I liked how, I know this happens in a lot of books and stuff, but like they got into a big fight because she found out that he was the dragon and the man, and he hadn't told her, and then she like tried to kill his dad, so he was a little mad at her too. And like she gets into trouble, and he's just like, no, everything's fine. We're gonna fight side by side, and then like after that, they're just like, it was just.
Yeah. Oh yeah, another thing about this book was all the sibling dynamics. Not the
Mhm.
Annwyl and the Lorcan, because they obviously just want to murder the shit out of each other, but all the dragon siblings.
They were funny.
I loved them together because they were just constantly like bickering and picking on each other and like just the way real siblings are.
Yeah.
I can
actually
relate to this.
I really liked the golden dragon one. Gonwil, I think was his name.
Gwenvale.
It's a very
They're
Celtic
all
name.
so long with so many weird letters. Oh god.
Yeah,
What's
so
his
they
name?
kind of all strike me as being like very like Celtic or kind of Viking.
Yeah.
Which makes
Gwen-
me question the way I've been pronouncing them a lot. But
Gwenvale.
yeah, it started with a G.
Yeah.
But he's the golden dragon of the bunch.
Mhm.
I actually really liked him. Like when you first meet
I
him,
loved
you're just
him.
kind of like, oh, this douchebag. But then he kind of like
Yeah.
just turns into this kind of comedic character. Like this big fight scene, he's sick because he ate some overcooked people. Like he's saving her and carrying her off, and he's just like, I'm just trying not to puke.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
And-
He was nice. He was like painted as this like kind of womanizer, like charming, like, hey, I'm handsome and I'm gonna
Yeah.
woo you. But he was also very sweet, and you could tell he actually really did care about Annwyl,
Mhm.
which was nice.
Yeah. And I guess I liked that she kind of like just beat him up and then he backed off. He didn't, like, later on, like, they kind of mentioned, like, oh, yeah, you know, he kept trying to, like, grab her ass and then she'd punch
Broke
him.
his finger.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, like, when she first beats him up, he, like, gets scared of her.
Yeah.
Well, it's like at the celebration after the battle, he's just like running around sexually harassing women, and they're just like, "Oh, that's him." But no, obviously. And then she breaks his finger, and they're like, "That's kind of what you get."
Yeah. Yeah. Thought that was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for a lot of the books we've read, most of the characters have been the leading lady and the leading man. So it's nice to have like some of the family and some of the, you know.
A bunch of different characters with,
Yeah.
like their own personalities, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Not
weren't just
just, like-
super flat.
Like
Mhm.
cardboard cutouts in the backgrounds while these two are like making out
Yep.
in the front. Yeah, it was nice to have kind of a cast.
Some of them were a little obvious for me, you know, like they
Well,
just
yeah.
come out and like say like, "Oh, this is this person. They're like this," and I'm like, okay. But on the other hand, it's like they didn't have that much time in the book, so there wasn't much time to get that across without just saying it.
Yeah. And they could be characters that come back in, like, the other, because there's more than one book for this series, right?
Yeah, there's 3,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so they could be characters that come back later on. But, like, I think I know what you're talking about, like the what is it? The littlest brother, whoever was, like, the blue one.
Oh, yeah, he was like the baby
Yeah.
of the group.
He acted like the baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
cute
just-
though.
Yeah.
Super energetic and annoying.
Yeah.
I just kind of kept picturing, like, this maybe, like, 9 or 10-year-old kid
Yeah.
whenever he was around.
Yeah. And then like the younger sister was like the daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of time to flesh them out, I guess, but maybe another
Yeah.
book.
I like that they like existed and there was an effort instead
Yeah.
of just. And then there's these other dragons.
Mm-hmm. And they do that again in the second book too. Like, they introduce you to his dad's side of the family,
Mhm.
and they're all they get kind of more time in the book than in the first one.
Mhm.
But at least when I was reading it, I kept getting his two sisters mixed up. Like, I felt like they just kind of had the same personality.
Yeah.
But then his dad just has this, like, so far to the other direction personality.
I love this dad.
Yeah.
Dad is, like, known for just, like, yeah, he just kind of sleeps with everyone.
He's also like obsessed with humans.
Yep.
Like never in his dragon form, and he lives in a castle, and he'll like surprise attack all his kids so they're ready for anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, the castle is, like, human size, so other dragons can't enter it without turning into a human. But yeah. My favorite from that was when there was some comment made about, like, oh yeah, he'd just chuck us off the side of the castle now and then.
Like, what?
Parenting at its finest.
Yeah. Oh.
And you kind of say, like, he was insane. But it actually kind of worked because now they have, like, these amazing reflexes.
Oh.
I want a book about him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like obsessed with humans and is a little bit nuts.
Yeah. Although I did just look up like, oh, the Dragon Actually series to see what other books there were, and I think this includes the full stories and also the short stories, like the Chains and Flames one.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like 13.
Wow.
Yeah. And some of them are little short stories that are stuck on the ends of other books, I guess. So there's like a
Okay.
reading order and there's a chronological reading order on her website.
Huh.
I thought there were only 3. I was wrong. Light my fire. The dragon who loved me. How to drive a dragon crazy. So maybe he's in one of these stories. So yeah, whoever wants to read 12 more dragon short stories.
That could be like a 1 year long
Yeah.
season we do.
Yeah. Oh. I didn't mean to stretch and stick my boobs out that far. Like, I forgot it was on camera. It's the girl version of leading with your penis. Ugh. Anything else that anybody found interesting or terrible or funny or all of the above?
I think that's pretty much all I had.
Mhm.
We covered most of it.
The people I was talking to about this, one of them mentioned another series about dragon romance books, and there's I can't remember all of them, but like one of them is like lesbian dragons
Ooh.
and like poly dragons,
Ooh.
and I can't remember all of them, but they're all like alternative, like not alternative, but not traditional romance novels. I thought that sounded interesting.
Not
Yeah, that could be too
heterosexual romance.
I should throw those on the book list or
Yeah.
whatever that we've got going. Yeah, I know. My Metamore sent, or she emailed the Bodice Ripping email with a romance book that she really likes, but I think it's definitely like strictly like romance and not necessarily like sex.
Yeah.
But I haven't really looked into it yet, but it could be interesting to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the one thing was we always talk like we would relate the books to like real life stuff. I don't know, is there any real life things to relate back to the story that you were reading and thought of?
Go for the dragon, not for the jerk, dude.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how sexy he is, it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I say we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about the sex scenes and everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, arguing and butting heads all the time doesn't lead to passion.
Yeah. And then alternatively, if you don't butt heads and fight all the time, doesn't mean you have a lack of passion.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Just because someone's body is responding a certain way doesn't mean that that's actually what they want.
Oh, yeah, that's a really important one.
Like, maybe actually talk to them about it.
Yeah, consent is cool, kids.
Yeah, I like
what-
that it wasn't just all the sex, it was also like her thinking about the dragon and how she wanted to be friends with him and that he's the one she wanted to like wake up next to
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
versus just fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely if you have the choice between those two, you want somebody who's going to be your friend
Yeah.
and be your support. Because that lust is going to fade after about a year and a half. So, or those love hormones or whatever that make that person like,
The honeymoon period.
yeah, the honeymoon period. Because when that goes away, of course you're still going to love them, but you want to be friends with them too.
Yeah.
It's work. Work on your relationships, people. Yeah, put effort into it.
Yeah. There is no such thing as an easy relationship.
Exactly. Yeah, these books make it out to be like, oh, they love each other and they're having sex all the time and they're just gonna be happily ever after forever, but we all know that's not how it goes in real
Nope.
life. But it's not a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Woo. Hey,
I
did
think
we
we're all set.
yeah, did we pick a book for next time?
Yeah, so
Really?
I did that real quick at the beginning of this episode.
Oh, good. Because I
If
was
you
thinking
notice
about it, I
I
was
just
like,
tuned
crap,
out
we
for a
didn't.
minute or two, it was because like, oh
Allie.
shit, it was my turn to pick a book.
What are we reading?
Yeah.
So I think the next book we should go with is Night Pleasures. It's book 1 in the Dark Hunter series by Sherilyn Kenyon. I'm not. It's Kenyon. But quick little synopsis of it is: The Dark Hunters are ancient warriors who have sworn to protect mankind, and the fate of the world is in their hands. He is solitude. He is darkness. He is the ruler of the night. Yet Kyrian of Thrace has just woken up handcuffed to his worst nightmare, an accountant.
What?
Oh!
Worse, she's being hunted by one of the most lethal vampires out there. And if Amanda Devereaux goes down, then he does too. It's not just their lives that are hanging in the balance. Kyrian and Amanda are all that stands between humanity and oblivion. Let's hope they win.
Love it.
I am
And a little-
intrigued.
A little review down at the bottom says that would fall in the same category as either Stormfront or Twilight, but if I had to choose, it would be closer to Twilight on the spectrum, but with more sex. So
Cool.
hopefully not as glittery as Twilight.
Oh god. And the whole host of other issues that come with those books, but we're not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Plus the accounting issues to consider. I mean,
Right? She's an
Right.
accountant.
Yeah. Hot.
Yeah. So,
Numbers. Sexy.
sounds interesting.
spreadsheets.
Bread in the sheets, am I right?
Yeah! He leaned past her and clicked on the cell of her open Excel spreadsheet. You know, that better be in there.
Yeah. Hey, baby, let me show you these formulas. Oh, okay. Let's save that for the next episode. We'll not use up all the puns on this one.
Innuendos.
Innuendos. Awesome.
Okay. So, I guess if that's us wrapping up, you can listen to other episodes of this podcast as well as rate and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, CastBox, and now Spotify.
Yay.
Yes.
We also post a video recording of this episode to our YouTube channel, Bodice Ripping. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Bodice Ripping or Bodice Ripping Podcast. We post announcements on books we're reading, new episodes, as well as I believe we have some t-shirts out.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us, and here's to a ripping good time.
Bye.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.